Hello and welcome back to the Playbook, where today I'll be doing a Premier League roundup of the key matches that went down this weekend, speaking about Arsenal, Liverpool, and the other top six teams that played this weekend. So, we're going to go straight to the Emirates and talk about the game. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2. So, going into this game, obviously, we recorded the pod a couple of days ago with Daoud, and we spoke on the game, we spoke on the expectations, we did our combined lineup, and the general feeling amongst Arsenal fans got leading up into this game. Everyone was kind of nervous. Everyone was kind of dubious about what to expect. Of course, with the injuries to certain key players, not knowing whether Saka would have played, not knowing whether Urian Timber would have played, Calafiori. Obviously, we know Odegaard's out and Saliba is definitely out due to suspension. So with Arsenal, there was a lot of unknown going into that game, so we didn't know what to expect. But I always had confidence that due to the game just being at the Emirates, I feel as though also with the fact that if Liverpool won that game, they would have gone 7 points clear. I felt like with all of them factors that would be put into the game, I feel as though we still would put performance in. I put the game as a must not lose. So, I would have took a draw, with all the aspects of what would happen in the game with obviously the injuries and stuff. I would have took a draw. My prediction was 3-1. Obviously, when I heard Saka and Timber was actually going to be available, I was a lot more confident. I feel as though defensively we could fork out. I feel as though attacking players being out is more significant than defensive players being out. I feel as though the attacking players, if you lose key players, I think if we lose Saka and we lose a couple of them, we lose goals or we lose our attacking threat. So I feel as though them being out would have been more of a detriment to us. But they all played. I think we only missed Calafiori, Saliba, and Odegaard. Listen, they are big players to miss, but in the grand scheme of things, I think we had enough there to beat Liverpool. We started off well, of course. Starboy, the boy, Bukayo Saka. He turned up, showed Robertson levels. I told these guys the best winger in the league. He got the first goal of the game, and then from then on, I expected us to kick on a bit. I felt like the crowd was amazing. When you watch games on TV, it's very difficult to grasp how the atmosphere is, but when you hear of certain people that went to get the game themselves and you ask them how the atmosphere was, and they're saying that it's the best atmosphere, definitely in the first 45 minutes, atmosphere of the season so far. So that is good, of course, and that's a positive that you have to take away from the game. So obviously Saka scored the first goal. We were playing we was playing well, but I feel as though it was a bit wasteful with a couple of chances. I know Martinelli had a chance just outside the edge of the box. I know people say it's kind of a half chance because he does have to, but for me, he has to get that on target. I think Moreno Timber set it from just outside the box, and he hit it way wide. It's tough. It's not really like it's more of a half chance than a real chance. I think Havertz had a chance to back stick. He should have converted that. I think he should have done better. So we did have a lot of chances, so we could have gone away with the game. But then Liverpool actually came back into the game. Van Dijk. We are getting done on set pieces now, which is quite interesting because, we are branded as the best team at set pieces, but Bournemouth caught us out, and today again we've been caught. And I understand, when you are missing key players, the setup's a bit different. Certain players are not used to maybe the instructions by the coaching team, but I feel as though we should be doing better because we have been undone now on 2 set pieces. Well, if you go back, actually, it's 3 set pieces because Man City actually scored the last goal. John Stones was actually a set piece. Even though they played it short, it was a set piece. So we have been done with set piece a lot this season. So it is something that Nicolas Jova has to actually address. But then Van Dijk scored, to bring him back in the game. So then it was 1-1. I still felt, listen, we're in a good position here. We're at home. Liverpool haven't been great the first half. We had a chance with Rice. Rice's delivery was immense. And Rice pinged it in back stick to Moreno. And Moreno actually missed the first chance, which I was upset because I thought, listen, it's kind of a sitter. I know it's tough, but the way Declan Rice made the chance, he made it an easy chance for him. So it's kind of a sitter for Mikel Moreno. And he scuffed that one. But the second chance he got, Declan Rice, it's like automatic. People actually need to give respect to the delivery that he made. It was the second time he did it on a plate. Liverpool were giving a lot of stupid fouls away in the first half especially, which was quite naive from them. They should know, obviously, with the set piece, how successful we are with set pieces, they should know that we have to limit it with corners and, of course, free kicks outside the box because we are innovative. We are quite strategic with our set pieces, so Liverpool were quite naive in that sense. Declan Rice whipped it. Moreno scores, great goal, just on the cusp of half-time. So I thought, listen, great time to score. Go into half, 2-1, see the game out. Nothing stupid, no red cards, and actually went into half-time 2-1 up. Then, I think around the 48th minute, Gabriel got injured. And the minute Gabriel got injured, you heard on the TV, you heard all the fans, you heard Gary Neville, you heard everyone. It's like shoulders just dropped, like something happened. And the feeling, everyone felt, you could see it in Arteta's face. It's like, I'm not comparing Gabriel to Van Dijk, I'm not. Van Dijk is better. But it's like taking Van Dijk out of Liverpool, in a sense of, you've took now your best defender just out the lineup, you know? And I don't know, man. From that moment on, I feel as though the belief left a little bit. And it is poor in a mentality due to our mentality. I feel as though we shouldn't give up just because... we didn't give up, but we shouldn't drop our shoulders a little bit based on one player. We should, the players that come on, Kiwior came and replaced him. And I felt like he did well up until, obviously, the goal. But I feel as though our shoulders dropped a little when Gabriel came off, which was quite disappointing. But... from then on, we just sat back. We didn't really look. We kind of played like we was 10 men. So I understand the outcry from the outside fans saying we kind of sat back and it's a bad mentality. I understand what Roy Keane was saying. Roy Keane was actually speaking facts. You can question our mentality a little bit there because there was no reason for us to back off. We could have gone more for the next. The person I was watching the game with, the first thing I mentioned when Gabriel went off is I said, we need to score now. We have to score. We can't sit back and rely on our defence now because our defence now, we've got Partey, Ben White, Kiwior, and Timber, which is literally on his last legs because he's just come back from an injury. So I said, we need to score a goal now. So, the inevitable happened. Liverpool actually got a goal, which then Timber went down. But Timber went down before the goal, which then again made more problems for us. Arteta didn't trust Zinchenko, which I fully agree with, and he turned to Miles Lewis Skelly, which I felt did a good job and is not to blame for the goal. I do think Kiwior is to blame for the goal because I'm not only Kiwior, I feel as though a lot of the attacking players, because we opened up a bit there at a time when you should just close up shop, and you've done it for the most of the half, so why not just continue it throughout the game? Take no risks. We conceded the goal in I think the 81st, 82nd minute. Nunez with a straight ball to Mo Salah. He always has to get his customary goal. Scored that goal, and then from then on, I was worried that we would have lost the game. I was very worried that, listen, I've seen this script before. If Liverpool get a goal now 3-2 and go 7 points clear of us, it'll be carnage. So the fact that we did see the result out of the last 10 minutes was great. Could we have done better? 100% in the second half. Am I going to take the result? Absolutely. With the grand scheme of things, and of course with the context and everything in play, you have to take that result. At the end of the day, Liverpool are at a level right now where they're just going through everyone. And I don't understand people are saying the run of fixtures that they got is quite easy. It is, I agree. And they are yet to face someone good. And I know people say, oh, what are you waiting for, Man City? I agree. But at the same time, you always have to put stuff into context. I compared them to Tottenham on the last pod. And I do stand by that still a little bit because they wasn't great against us. They was not great against Chelsea. But what they're doing is they are getting results, which I do respect. If you're not playing well, get results. So there are a couple of points that I want to talk about in the game as well. I think the referee was shocking, Anthony Taylor. Normally he is good. Him and Michael Owen normally are decent. They are the two best English referees. But he had a shocker. I think he set the tone with what happened with Kai Havertz at the start of the game. I don't know what Van Dijk was doing. He's kicking out. It's not a red card for me, but it is a little bit of violent conduct in a way because why it's unnecessary kicking out at him. It doesn't make sense to me. That was a big point that Arsenal fans straight away were onto referee for. There was a couple of times when he was giving fouls at the wrong time, and obviously, listen, that is not a big deal because referees are not perfect. I understand. The penalty, I think it was in the first half. Martinelli and Konate is a clear penalty. Konate literally took him out. Didn't even go to VAR. The referee was not even interested, which I just think, in the grand scheme of these kind of games, you have to look at everything. That's why they took so long on the offside, because they're scared about dropping points. It's such a big game. They don't want to take risks. You know what I'm saying? So why is that not going to VAR? Martinelli was through, and they were juggling. I think he got sandwiched by Konate and Trent, but Konate literally took him out, and it didn't even go to VAR. The referees didn't even bother looking at it, which shocked me, which obviously is not good. The end, when it was 2-2, Kai Havertz. At the time when I saw the foul that the referee blew back when he blew the whistle, I thought initially it's a foul, Kiwior fouled Szoboszlai. But if you actually go back and watch the videos, and there's a couple of clips that have been viral today that have been circulating, when you see the referee when he blew the whistle, he didn't blow the whistle for Kiwior's foul on Szoboszlai, which, It's 50-50. In my mind, some people can say it's foul, some people cannot. It's up to debate. Personally, at the time, I thought it was a foul, but when you look back at it, Szoboszlai didn't even argue for that. The referee actually blew for Kai Havertz handball, but the ball actually touched Kai Havertz above the sleeve, so at a place where it's not actually deemed to be handball. So the referee blew it at that point. Then Kai Havertz ran and went shoulder to shoulder with Trent, and Trent fell on the floor, and it was a clean challenge, and he didn't even score. Jesus scored. So the referee blew the whistle too early. In my opinion, he should have waited, let it play out, then let it go to VAR, especially in the 90th minute. Let it play out, let it go to VAR, then decide. Why are you so quick with the whistle? I feel as though sometimes they're too quick with the whistle. Let it play out. Let VAR watch that if it's clean. If it's a clear foul and you deem it to be a foul, go into VAR. No problem. But don't make that decision because you're not good enough. I don't believe you guys are good enough to make that decision based on a whistle. So that's my thing. It's the same thing with referees every week. Overall with the game, I think, listen, you take the point. I know it's at Emirates, but you take the point. We are injury ridden, and I know people are saying, "Oh, you only got 2 injuries." If you look at the grand scheme of things, taking Gabriel and Timber off, Saka was at 50%, and he still delivered a great performance. You ain't got Saliba, Calafiori, which had a great start to the season, has not been playing. We had to put Thomas Partey at right back. It's not excuses, but I do believe Liverpool should have took advantage of us, which sounds crazy, but Liverpool should have took advantage of us definitely because we was a lot weaker than we usually are. We won't be as weak as we are now the rest of the season. Well, actually, we don't know down to injuries, but the way we set up and the way the players that were out that day, I don't think that happened in a long time. We have the return of Odegaard coming up now. A couple of the players now are returning to full fitness. So I think Liverpool missed an opportunity. Another talk point with the Arsenal game as well, and just Arsenal in general. People are now, a lot of Arsenal fans I've seen online that they're coming with this, that Arsenal have there's an agenda out against Arsenal, whether it's the PGMOL or it's the Premier League. They've got an agenda against Arsenal. I don't believe that there's an agenda against Arsenal. I think that's kind of like, it's kind of, no, I won't say pathetic, but it's kind of cheap to say there's a agenda against Arsenal. The only reason I don't believe there's an agenda against Arsenal is because the same bad decisions happen in every game. We saw the Man United game that we're going to speak about soon. What happened in that game? We saw, the Chelsea game the week before with Liverpool. The VAR and the referees, they're just inconsistent. They're not good enough. And we've known this for so many years now. VAR has been introduced and it's not helped them at all. Maybe it's killed them because every game now referees getting spoken about. And I watched the El Clasico on Saturday night. And I saw that game, and the referee did not get spoken about once. I know it's a one-sided game, but no VAR, no this. When there was offsides, that game, I don't think there was more offsides in that game than any other game this season in the top 5 leagues. Every decision was right because they've got semi-automatic offside. So every offside they know. I don't know why we don't have that in the Premier League. Look how long Mikel Moreno's goal took. Why do we not? What's the pride that we've got? Why don't we have semi-automatic offsides that's going to help us? The referees probably are dying for it. That's first and foremost what we have. Second of all, the VAR. Every decision that goes to VAR, you still are not comfortable that the referees are going to get it right. You don't have trust in the officials. The game that we're going to speak about later on about Man United, they got absolutely robbed, and Ten Hag lost his job. He didn't lose his job because of the game. Don't get twisted. But if Ten Hag won that game, or even drew that game, maybe he still have a job. And a big reason is that because of the Michael Oliver he didn't need to get involved in that decision. I'm going to talk about that game a bit later down the line, but stuff like that is a big reason why fans are angry. I don't believe there's an agenda against Arsenal because it doesn't make sense. Like, why are we just going to target Arsenal out of all teams? And I think sometimes it gives an excuse to the fan base and the players that, they're against us. I don't think they're against us. I think sometimes they are very wrong in the decisions they make, but every other club gets bad decisions against them as well. We have to understand that. We can't just say us. It happens to everyone. If you look at all the red cards we got this season, they're all deserved, But some of the penalties and some of the things, it's been happening for years. It's not only Arsenal. I see it every match I watch in the Premier League. I see a decision that the referee is involved in and has made a problem for himself. And it happens every game. So this whole Arsenal stuff, I just think sometimes it's easy to give them an excuse. I hope this doesn't feed into the players where the players look and think, oh, maybe there is an agenda. No, maybe the dressing room's stronger than some of the Arsenal fans' mentality because to think that there's an agenda is like I'm saying, it just gives it it gives room for excuses, which I just think is a bit poor. But moving on from the Arsenal game, we're going to talk about the Man United versus West Ham. 2-1 to West Ham. I watched a bit of that game. I was skipping through that game and Chelsea game. And my thoughts on that game is Man United finishing that day was absolutely terrible. To me, I just believe that they didn't, I don't know, man. I think it's the first game you look at and you can't blame Ten Hag, which is so sad because he got sacked because of this game. He lost this game, he got sacked. That shows that he was on the edge. He was literally on the edge. So if he lost against Fenerbahce in the week, he probably would have got sacked. If he lost today and he got Chelsea on Sunday, he would have got sacked. So him losing that game lost him his job. But if we actually focus on the game, Man United had so many chances. They should have gone into the half 3-4-0 up. I cannot believe they didn't go 3-4-0 up into that game. They would dominate that game. They didn't give West Ham a chance. West Ham are shocking. Manager's shocking. I don't know how they come out of that game. He would have been sacked himself maybe if he lost that game. Let's be honest, because they were terrible. They have been terrible this season. I don't know what Lopetegui's plan is. The signings that they've bought this summer look good. I actually had them as a one to watch team-wise. I thought they'd do well. I thought the signing of Fulcrum, Somerville, Guedo Rodriguez. I thought some of these signings were good signings and signings of a team that want to push for Europa League, but their start to the season have been shocking. They scraped to win against United, which shows the problems at Manchester United. The fact they can't beat such a shocking team. I think they haven't won I don't know if they've won a game this season. Maybe they've won a game this season, but the run up to this game, I'm sure they lost 5 games. So to me, Man United had to win. And I think the hierarchy at Man United looked at this and said, listen, this is a game you have to win. So for me, at the end of the day, whatever happened with Ten Hag, it was long overdue. Ten Hag was sacked today, of day recorded on Monday, which was expected. I think the announcement was imminent. What I think on the situation is, when I recorded a few videos back, when I mentioned it, I did say, listen, there is more of a deep-root problem in the Manchester United, but sacking the manager is the easiest thing to do, and it's going to be the thing that happens this season, whether it was today, whether it was at December. We knew what was going to happen is inevitable, because Ten Hag wasn't helping himself. Do I think it's a bit premature? Yes. Do I think that there's a manager out there that can replace Ten Hag and do a better job than him right now? Probably not. Not in my eyes thinking Ten Hag's a good manager. Ten Hag is going into the Man United job, he was a good manager. He was thought to be the next best thing. A lot of clubs wanted him. But going to United killed him. But he killed himself with a lot of the tactics he was making, a lot of decisions he was making, For me personally, a lot of the players killed him, A lot of the players did kill him. He had a lot. One thing that stuck out to me for Ten Hag that I didn't really think he was like this, the amount of issues he had with players. You had Ronaldo, Sancho, Rashford. You had all these, De Gea. You had all these players that he had big problems with. Varane. That caused him issues because these are high profile players that at the end of the day, you have to be able to deal with big profiles and big players. And I don't think he adapted to that well. I know at Ajax, there was not that many high profile players. It was more up and coming talents, like De Jongs and De Lits and players like that he had to deal with that, are more prone to listening to what the manager has to say, When he had to deal with these big profiles and these, big personalities, he struggled, And a lot of managers do struggle. And people have to remember the enormity of, Manchester United as a club. A lot of managers sink there. He's not the first manager and he won't be the last manager, There are reports today that Ruben Amorim, I don't know how to pronounce the name, the Portuguese Sporting Lisbon manager, is in talks to become the next Manchester United manager. And you know what it is? When I look at that appointment, I rate him highly, and when he was going to go to Liverpool last season, before Arne Slot, I was like, Man United, Liverpool are getting their hands on a very good manager. However, I just look at another project manager and I feel as though the job will be too big for him again. And I'm not writing him off this early. He's not even got the job yet. He might not get the job. But I do think this job will be, again, too big for him. I just think the reason why I think the job will be too big for him, because I just feel as though, listen, the Portuguese league is completely different to the Premier League, first and foremost. That's the biggest thing that you can take from it. But I just feel as though he has to change a lot at Man United. Man United is not a job that I think the Man United job has changed. It's not the job that people think it is anymore. In terms of rebuild, people when Ten Hag came to United, people expected a rebuild, and of course he was starting his rebuild, and we knew what to expect from Ten Hag. But there's so many problems at Manchester United that it's going to take more than a project manager to deliver, because Man United's problems are just not only on the pitch, they've got problems off the pitch as well. And I know they've brought in a whole leadership team that there's a lot of questions that need to be asked about them still. The fact that they allowed Ten Hag to bring on all his players, all his coaching staff, make all these signings, do his brand of philosophy for this season, allowed to play 10 to 11 games this season, and then sack him in October, and pay that compensation that you didn't want to pay in the summer. A lot of questions will be asked against some of the CEO, Dan Ashworth, some of these guys, are they indecisive in making decisions? But they have made decisions to sack him. Ruben Amorim will probably be the next manager. It's an exciting appointment for the Premier League. Do I think it'll be a success? No. And I'm not writing him off this early, but I just feel as though in the long scheme of things, I just don't look at anyone. I don't look at any manager in the market right now and think they are going to change the trajectory of Manchester United. I feel as though the best solution for Man United right now should be just stick with Ruud. Try get a couple results on the way, because you have to understand, it is only October, it's only 9 games into the Premier League. I know they're 14th, but I think they're 6 points off top 4, which is an achievable target. You've got teams doing well that normally don't do well. You've got Nottingham Forest up there, Brighton and stuff that are up there in the table. Man United can easily pick up points if they do a run, but maybe they don't want to see another situation under Ole. Maybe they want to just find a replacement as soon as possible, which I do respect as well at the same time. That is good business. But all in all, with the game, I feel as though it was not a great game, quality wise. Bruno Fernandes looked back to his best again, creating loads of chances. He should have scored the header. Dalot, probably the biggest miss this season that we're probably going to see. It was open goal and he missed it. He is a fullback, but at the end of the day, I'm putting that away. So at the end of the day, he should have finished that. Casemiro scored in the box, which is an aerial threat, low key. He scored to make it 1-1, and then the penalty just killed him. Never a penalty in a million years. And you always, the fact that you can drop points and managers get sacked down to bad decisions. Michael Oliver lost him his job. I know people are going to say Ten Hag was gone anyway, and his time was coming, but if Man United drew that game or didn't lose, or won, Ten Hag probably would still have been the manager now. It's the fact they lost and the position in the table where I feel as though another shocking VAR refereeing decision. Howard Webb's probably going to do another interview, another apology. We're sick of these now. We've seen it too many times now, and it's kind of getting boring now. It's time to start importing these foreign referees. Like, we've got a foreign English manager. It's time to start importing foreign referees, because it's beyond the point. There's a reason why some of these guys don't go to the World Cups, the Euros and Champions League, because they're not good enough. Some of these guys like Stuart Atwell have been referees for 10, 15 years. Not 10, 15 years, but 10 years. And I don't think some of these guys have done a European game. It is quite embarrassing, the level that we've got. We've got the best coaches in the world, that are foreign. We've got the best players in the world that are foreign, but we haven't got the best referees, which to me is a bit of a pride, but we'll see. Moving on to Southwest London, or South London, whatever people. It is Southwest London, yeah. Chelsea going on to Stamford Bridge. They beat Newcastle. Again, another strong performance. The highlight of the game, Cole Palmer. The guy's fantastic. I think people need to now start admitting how good this guy is. I have my doubts of him. And I questioned him heavily against Liverpool. The fact that he decided not to turn up in that game. But at the end of the day, people have to understand he is young. This is his second full season in the Premier League. Like, people have to understand that. When he was at Man City, he was getting little games here and there, but he was never really getting full matches, and he wasn't relied upon. Now at Chelsea, he is relied upon. He is the man. And every time I watch him, I think he's incomparable to a player right now in the world, because what he's doing is confusing. And people will question what I mean by that, but the way he run, like, he's not quick, he's not strong, but he looks quick and strong, which is crazy. Like, it's crazy the way he moves with the ball, the way he glides. Like, Eze does it as well. Like, they run in one motion. They don't sprint, but they run in one motion, but they glide. It's a bit like Ozil. He reminds me a lot about Ozil. Like, they glide, they don't sprint. So he was doing a lot this game where he was mocking their midfield today. Joe Linton, Tonali, and Bruno Guimaraes were getting torn apart, passed around. You know, he was just toying with them, and this is a man that comes from Man City academy. This is his second full season, and he's just got given the keys for Chelsea, and I just don't see his ceiling right now. I don't see a point where he's stopping. A question that I'm gonna ask is for him personally. Well, I'm not gonna ask him because I don't know him, but the question that I want to see of him is he has to perform in these big games and these games that matter. We're facing them, I think, in 2 weeks. Listen, I don't want him to perform because obviously he's getting results because we need to win. But at the same time, I need to see him perform in these big games. At Anfield, he didn't show up. A lot of the big games last season, I don't think he turned up. He was injured, a lot of them actually. I think he didn't play us. He didn't play us at home anyway. No, he played us at home when at Stamford Bridge, and he actually scored a penalty. But away, he didn't play us. So in these big games, I need Cole Palmer to turn up, show what he's about in these big games, stamp his authority in the game. That's the sort of question I was asking Odegaard last season, and he did deliver in these big games, and that's what we need from Cole Palmer. But people need to start talking about Chelsea as low-key underdogs. Whether it is for top four, I think it's a little bit too early to be talking about Premier League title. I do feel as though it's a three-horse race with Arsenal, Liverpool, and City. But Chelsea, I do think, can push for that top four. That top four spot now is very open to many teams. Aston Villa are in there. Chelsea, Brighton. The Spurs. There's so many other teams in there that race for top four is so early. It's 9 games in, but Chelsea, for me, look like the strongest team. Only reason being is they're in the Conference League, which Cole Palmer's not even registered for the Conference League, so he can rest. They can win that with their second team. I see they beat a team 4-1 on Thursday, so they don't need to put full effort into these games. They can focus a lot on the Premier League, so I do think they're low-key underdogs for that. Maresca he's done relatively well. It is still early days for me to be jumping on the bandwagon of he's an amazing manager, but he has done relatively well, a lot better than I expected. After the Man City game, they lost in the first game of the season. They played okay, but at the same time, I looked at it and thought Enzo Maresca could be gone early, because Chelsea fans don't wait, bro. Chelsea fans do not wait. So, and Chelsea's board don't wait. So, Enzo Maresca, he's done a good job. The formation he's playing, it looks like a settled team now. It looks like the back line looks settled. Keeper's shocking. They need a new keeper because Sanchez is just... I feel as though he's trying to throw the games. I don't know what he's on, and I heard Enzo Maresca in a press conference say, listen, I told him to do this, and if he stops doing what I ask him, he won't play no more, which is strong words. And he has the belief that Sanchez can continue to play like this, but the amount of mistakes and goals that Chelsea's going to concede this season is going to be crazy. I feel as though there's more risk reward with what they're doing. But at the end of the day, they're getting the results. It was a strong result against Newcastle. Newcastle are now winless, I think, in the last 3. And funnily enough, they got Arsenal now. What's their stadium called? I forgot what the stadium calls. Well, anyway, we're away to Newcastle next week, which we know how that script goes. But listen, Newcastle, I don't know what it is. I thought this season they'll do well. They'll do well. Obviously, they got no European football. They got Tonali back, but they just don't look settled. And I feel as though they will finish mid-table this season. I don't see them finishing strong. They can bring in a lot of players. A lot of things going on with Newcastle low-key that people are not starting to wonder. They've got contract issues with Isaac and Guimaraes. They're looking at possible options because obviously if they're not going to get Champions League again, these players are not going to wait around. Eddie Howe, we've been hearing issues with him in England. Obviously that situation sorted itself now, obviously, because he's not going to England. But at the same time, Eddie Howe could go to any other club. There are a lot of teams that need managers at the end of the season, so he might look at his future. Anthony Gordon signed a new contract, but he's going to have suitors again in the summer. If Liverpool come back in again, which you never know. Chelsea again, they had strong interest in him in the last summer. So there are a lot of problems at Newcastle that they have to sort out. I feel as though losing Dan Ashworth and the 2 owners has caused a bit of unrest, and the stability of that club looks a bit shaken a bit. But like I'm saying with all these games, it is early days. Newcastle could turn it around. They didn't have Anthony Gordon yesterday, which was big for them. He is their best player probably alongside Isaac and Guimaraes. So we'll see. All in all with the game, it was just a standard game. I expected Chelsea to win that. Cole Palmer was involved. Nicholas Jackson again scoring the goals. People had their opinion on him early last season, writing him off. But, I think he's got 6 league goals now in the Premier League, which is a good tally for the 9 games that they've played. He's looking more convincing. He scored at Anfield last week as well. He's looking more polished. Questions were asked, can he be the number 9 that Chelsea need? John Obi Mikel did say he's not the number 9 we need. We need Victor Osimhen, and he spoke out on that. And Nicholas Jackson is backing his word. He is turning up well. He's playing. He is in form. Probably one of the most informed strikers in the Premier League right now in terms of goals. Obviously, barring Haaland. But I'm liking what I see from Chelsea. They are a threat. I am worried a little bit about going to Stamford Bridge now in 2 weeks because sometimes it's the fear of the unknown. You don't know what to expect when you go to Stamford Bridge. Last season I expected to go there and roll them over. We actually drew. Now they've got more of a settled team. Reece James is back now playing left back. Malo Gusto is looking very strong. Cole Palmer, Madueke. Their team looks very settled. Pedro Neto you got there as well. And then on the bench they got Joao Felix and Sancho. Just sitting there waiting for their moment. So Chelsea do look a lot threatening than they did, which I did predict on the first ever podcast I ever did. I did predict Chelsea low-key underdogs for the season. But let's see how they fare against, I think they got Manchester United. Obviously, they sacked their manager, so they got Manchester United on Super Sunday. So let's see how they fare against them. It is at Old Trafford, so they're going to be under the cosh. It's going to be exciting to see how both teams perform in that because both teams come to that a little bit, like I said, with the unknown. And then they've got Arsenal. So let's see how Chelsea get through this period now. Liverpool, Newcastle, Manchester United and Arsenal at the end of just before the international break ends. Let's see how they fare at the end of that. And to finish off, Spurs versus Palace. Great result for Palace. First win in the Premier League. Certain people, they know who they are, had Palace as their team to watch this season. They're overachievers, and they had a shocking start to the season. At the end of the day, I rate Oliver Glasner as a manager. I thought that he'd be doing a lot well. His end to the season of last season was fantastic. He got great results for Crystal Palace, and the signings that he made, I thought, he brought in Eddie Nketiah, Kamada, I don't know who else he brought. He brought in Lacroix, Chalobah, and one more player I can't remember. So he brought these players in. So I thought, listen, they've signed very good players. This is Crystal Palace at the end of the day, and they've got no European football. They finish like 14th, 13th every season. They are bringing in European level players. Their start to the season has been terrible. It's been dreadful. And Oliver Glasner has been on the brink of getting sacked. Well, the paper talk has been he has been getting sacked. So this result has been fantastic. I didn't actually get to catch the game, but I watched the highlights. The biggest talking point of the game, Van der Veen. And this is where Arsenal fans come back into it. And I don't want to talk about Arsenal on it, but there are questions asked about the consistency. What's the difference between Van der Veen's one and Saliba's one? Van der Veen one was actually closer. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon of an agenda, but I'm jumping on the bandwagon of inconsistent. Why is that not a red card? Why is the Saliba one a red card, which I do believe is a red card, but we want to see a red card for both of them. We don't want to see a red card for one of them. That's where the issue comes. If Arsenal fans started to say that, I'd agree with them. But don't come with this agenda. They're just terrible. The referees are just absolutely terrible. Spurs sitting 8th. I had them as a top 4. I did say that they have an exciting project at the start of the season also, but I don't know. Something's not clicking with Tottenham. They win a game, they lose a game. They win a game, they lose a game. I don't think they have the right balance with the front line. Obviously, Mikey Moore came in to replace Son this week, and people started to question Arteta. Why are you not playing Ethan Nwaneri if Mikey Moore's getting his first ever Premier League start? You saw why Mikey Moore. I rate Mikey Moore a lot. Football manager players know Mikey Moore. He's an elite talent, generational talent on Football Manager. But he got his first Premier League start, and he kind of sunk a little bit in the game, which is expected. The guy's a kid. And, he got hooked on the 60th minute. Didn't have a great performance, and that's how I expect. This is a big reason why I don't expect Arteta to chuck Ethan Nwaneri into the game, because at the end of the day, you don't want to just chuck these youngsters in and let them sink, and then the confidence goes. Because when players start questioning these youngsters, at the end of the day, these guys are 16, 17, 18 years old. You can't question him to perform. And at the end of the day, look at the boots he has to fill, Son. At the end of the day, one of the best players, their captain. And he came in and he didn't do a great job, but at the end of the day, I'm not putting anything on him. They do have fantastic youth players that they can rely upon this season, especially with the Europa League and the Premier League. Ange Postecoglou is not going to risk. He's not going to be scared to throw in youngsters. He's done this last season, and we expect him to continue to do it this season with Archie Gray and Bergvall and all these players. But with the game, what does this mean for Spurs? Listen, Spurs need to pick up a run, because in the game, in the aspects of the game, they wasn't great. They didn't create a lot of chances. It's another blip. I just feel as though their start to the season has been terrible, because they win a game, they lose a game. They win a game. There's no consistency with with how their season has gone, and just feeling the pressure. You can see his interviews from last season to this season, how different it is. Last season he was a bit cocky, a bit of swagger, all the media was loving him. Now you just see he's on edge more. You can see now he's not as comfortable with the media. This mate stuff is gone now. The pressure's on because at the end of the day, there is an expectation of Spurs now to get top four. I do think they're the best of the rest. I do think it's a toss-up between them and Chelsea. I do believe they are better than Villa, Brighton, Manchester United, not even in the mix. So I do think they're the best of the rest. I do expect them to perform. I do expect them to get some big results and some big opposition this season. The Man City's, us. I know we beat them away, but Liverpool, I think they got Liverpool in December. So I do expect them to have an up and down season, but there is pressure on Ange this season because of definitely going out in the cup early because of what he said, saying that, look, I win in the second. I always win in my second year. I agree, but I don't agree actually. But I agree with the statement in the sense of, listen, the season is long. There shouldn't be panic. You shouldn't be questioned. But you have to perform. Tottenham have to win a trophy. Whether they do have Spurs, they do have Man City at home in the EFL tomorrow, Wednesday. So that'll be interesting to see how they turn up. And Pep Guardiola did say he's going to play a lot of youth players. So we'll see how they fare in that. If they do lose that game, no one's going to get at them because it is Man City at the end of the day. But at the same time, that is a cup competition that they can win. So they'll be looking at that. Europa League's going to be tough because, the two favourites for Europa League this season are Manchester United and Spurs. Spurs are better than Manchester United right now, but you don't know how Manchester United are going to turn up at the end of the season. Manchester United do deliver trophies. We can't take that away from Ten Hag. Obviously, he has gone now, but if Man United get to the final and it's Man United Spurs, you are going to hang your hat on Man United beating Spurs. So they can't rely on the Europa League. They're not going to win the Premier League and FA Cup. I'm not even sure if they're still in the FA Cup. The FA Cup's not even started yet. So I'm not sure with the FA Cup if they'll even get far in that because they never do. So there is pressure on Ange this season. There was pressure on this game, going away to Crystal Palace. It is a tough place, no matter how bad Crystal Palace has started this season. But another game, losing another game is not good for Ange. Pressure's on him now. Palace, great win. Solid celebration from Dean Henderson and all the defenders at the end of the game. Clean sheet as well, not easy. And maybe this will allow them to kick on now. International break. You got 2 more games until the international break. So we'll see how they fare now at Crystal Palace. I do have them safe. I don't think they'll get relegated this season. I think the 3 teams that are actually in the relegation zone now, I think they'll get out. Barring, I think, Southampton. I think Wolves will be all right. And I think also Crystal Palace will be all right as well. So that's kind of my recap of all the games this weekend. Obviously, I didn't get to catch every single game, and it's going to be difficult, but I am going to do these videos probably once a week, just highlighting the key things that happen in the week. If any major breaking news that happens, of course, with the Ten Hag sacking, with the Arsenal Liverpool game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully me and Dao will be recording a podcast this week regarding our game going up to St. James's Park, remember the name. Hopefully you get a result there. And yep, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Peace.